which is not going to make investors, oh wow, it's snowing. Holy moly, it's snowing. I got to interrupt this real quick and show y'all. Back to Hey folks, I hope you're having a wonderful start to your fall break. I'm over here in Colorado. I'd live here, but you know, I'm a weenie and I can't deal with the cold, but I'm a huge outdoorsman and I love fly fishing, so I like visiting this place quite a bit. With that being said, I still want to get you your weekly report here so I can keep folks educated on the market and help you make wise decisions that's going to help you build your wealth long-term through the buying and selling of real estate. So with that being said, let's take a look at the past week and see what the market has done. Now, as of today, there was a little over 76 new listings that hit the market. And guess what? There was about 74 homes came off the market. So like last week, we saw there was about 1,000 more homes came off the market than came on the market. This week, about the same number of homes that came off. So that's painting a very interesting picture. Let's talk about mortgage rates right now. So right now, the 30-year mortgage rate is sitting at about 6.32%, which is down just a tiny bit from last week, where last week was about 6.35%. And it's just going to fluctuate like this. You're going to see these little up and downs over the next few months. I really don't think we're going to start to see mortgages come down until Q2 of 2026. Now, in May of next year, what's going to happen is we're going to have a new Fed chair there, right? So whenever Powell goes out, Trump's probably going to put somebody in there that he wants. Now, for years, the Rockefellers, I'm playfully saying this, but I'm also being a little bit serious here. The Rockefellers and people like that have picked who we can be. That's like, hey, here's these 5 folks that we can use, right? So they kind of pick the pool of individuals. It's kind of like how lenders do with appraisers, and that's how the Fed chair gets picked. So with Trump, who knows what's going to happen? But whenever his folks get in there, there's a few things that can happen. One, I don't think mortgage rates will come down right away when that happens, because there's a few things that could take place. One, they could start doing more quantitative tightening. 2, they could start to print money like crazy. And if they start to do that again, that could actually bring your mortgage rates down a little bit, but it's going to make it go up long term. Long term, that's not going to be the best thing for us. There's another thing that could take place there is the fact that we can just kind of keep going the way we're going. Like this could just be the new norm. But we're really not going to see how that plays, because once May takes place, we get the new, we get a new Powell in, if you will. The market's probably going to sit back and see what happens. Now, if they start to print money like crazy, that's going to cause inflation to go up, which is going to mess up the 10-year yield, which is not going to make investors, oh wow, it's snowing. Holy moly, it's snowing. I got to interrupt this real quick and show y'all. Back to this is what happens when you're in Texas and you see snow. You become like a 10-year-old kid again. You're like, oh my God, look at that, it's snowing. Not, but it's snowing. Back to work, folks, okay? Where was I? I kind of had a little ADHD moment there and forgot where I was. 10-year Treasury bond, new Fed chair, blah, blah. Okay, so the powers to be will probably sit back and kind of see what happens. And they're going to see what happens with inflation and a few others indicators. And depending on how that plays out, that will determine if mortgages will come down, which I don't think is going to take place until Q3. Now, I say that with a moderate level of confidence, but I also said the same thing last year, and we didn't really see mortgage rates come down too much. We did see the Fed rate come down, but we haven't seen mortgage rates come down. Now, another question I'm getting a lot of folks right now is, dude, it's starting to really come down. My OCD is kicking in big time, or not OCD, but look at that. That is some snow action. I got to stay focused. I got to get this wrapped up so I can go fly fish and play with my kids and stuff. Okay, so anyways, let's take a look at values and what they did over the past 10 years in Tarrant County. Now, from June 2015 to September 2025, I did the search. The goal for this search is I really wanted to look at actual homeowners, right? Now at the end, I am gonna go over just everything, which is gonna paint a very interesting picture for you. But let's just look at the average homeowner in Tarrant County. So from a 3 to 6 bedroom, 2 to 8 bath, 1,500 square foot to 4,500 square foot, excluding foreclosures, new constructions, all that stuff. I really just wanna look at what the average homeowner is looking at. So if we look at the active listings today, for those particular properties, we're looking at almost 4,400 listings with an average price of just a little over $452,000. Now, if I go back to 2019, for the same day, back in 2019, we're looking at just a little over 1,900 listings. So there's a hell of a lot more homes on the market now than there was then. That is something that's very true. The average price back then in 2019 was $298,000 and some change. Holy moly, I'm so happy my wife kind of forced us into buying a home. Side story, I bought a home in 2019 at the very beginning of November. I'm a big deer hunter, so I was not jazzed up about buying a fixer-upper at that time. But I will tell you, fast forward today, I'm very glad we bought that home. But once again, look at those values again. Today's value is a little over 450. Back then, it was just a little under 300,000. Now, if we look at COVID months, now let's really break this down. I'm gonna scoot in so you guys can really focus in on me here, what I'm trying to say. I want you to listen to me when I say the following here. This is gonna be important if you're a home owner and you're thinking about selling your home. I want you to set your mental mind straight so you can understand what the market is doing. Peak COVID values of July 2022, the value was 471,528. Now, let's look at what the way these headlines are going to manipulate people, because that's what I'm seeing a lot. Now, peak COVID values, once again, were 471,528. The lowest post-COVID values we saw was in February of 2023, where the number came in at 406,719. That's roughly a 16% drop. 16% drop, right? That sounds pretty scary. Now, if you just skim over headlines, it's easy to believe that home values are dropping because I'm seeing a lot of things out there that are showing this. Now, I'm about to go on a rant here in a little bit, but just stick with me. I'll let you know before I go into that rant, because this is something that's just been driving me completely crazy. But here's the twist. Someone could easily say home values are actually going up. Because if I look at February of 2025, the average value was $425,669. And in June 2025, the value was $474,953. Hold on, wait a minute. That's right. That number was higher than the peak of COVID. Now, this is the rant that I'm going to go on real quick. I had to go for a walk for this one because sometimes I just get myself a little bit too worked up when I start looking at this data and thinking things through. But this frustrates me so much because I can't tell you how many agents that I hear out there that are saying something, but it's not the truth. And I'm going to call these people just headline readers. They just read the headlines. They don't dive into the data, and they can't properly guide you through the process of buying and selling a home because they don't know actually what's going on. They see a headline that says home values are dropping by 16%, and they don't ask, how do they come up with that percentage? And then that's going to lead them to guide you incorrectly if they don't really know what's going on. And then they want to sit there and argue and say, I know my value as a real estate agent, which in most cases is going to be about 2 to 4% of your home's value, whether it's the home you currently have or the home you're wanting to buy. So maybe, think about that when you're interviewing your agents. I would ask them some very specific questions. And then if they don't have the ability to back what they're saying, well, I'm going to say it this way. You can't get mad at the industry for some of the poor guidance that agents give when you're the one that's hiring that agent at the end of the day. Okay, are we good now? Did I get that rant out? Do you kind of understand where I'm coming from as a real estate agent? Now, this is something that also frustrates me a little bit because I just get frustrated with negativity. I'm a very kind of direct person, but I can't stand how sometimes people use negativity to kind of gain ground, if you will. But you can see headlines out there that will easily see home values drop by 16% and sellers panic as equity slips through their fingers. But you could easily see a headline that said home values jump nearly 12% despite market uncertainty. Because when you look at the February 2025 value to the June of 2025 value, That's about a 12% increase. And that higher increase is higher than the highest of COVID. So what I'm trying to make here, the point I'm trying to make, folks, is if you're a home seller, stop saying, oh, if I'd have sold back at the peak, I could have got more. Maybe you could have, but there's a good chance you wouldn't have. So don't let the headlines confuse you. But anyways, folks, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed. I'm gonna go do some fly fishing and play with my kids. And until next time, I hope you have a great day.